straightforward or easier, unlike other segmentation features available in a lot of other platforms or solution, I would say. Example, we all know, right? Many of you are working with CAA at least for a decade, and we worked on target, we worked on a lot of audience manager, right? Audience and everything. There also we have segmentation, right? So we know that segmentation is available there, but we never said those capabilities, right, or those features or as a segmentation service. Rather, we were simply coding as a segmentation features or capability. We are simply calling it as a segmentation itself, right? We are not exaggerating into services at all. So when I started my first project during 2021, especially related to this AEP, I had this question: what is segmentation services, right? And when we call segmentation services in AEP, what it is all about? Then I started understanding or exploring, oh, tell me what is the difference between a feature or product feature versus a engine or else a service that can power a lot of things, right? So there comes my first exploration with segmentation started. So what is a segmentation as a feature is first what we need to understand. Example we have is, right, I will take an example because I'm an analytics person and I know that a lot of people start their journey in analytics, right? So let's start with AA. In AA, we have segmentation. How do you call that particular segmentation? As a segmentation service or else a simply segmentation? Right? We call it as simply a segmentation. So what it means in terms of feature, segmentation as a feature is a capability, right? Or else a simple added value for us, right? In a particular tool. When I say a particular tool, it is only focused on one solution. So segmentation is also there in AA. It is also there in CJA, right? CJA also has a segmentation. But all these segmentation as a features sits in those solution. And then it is utilized within that particular solution. And then we can do a lot of things within that, right? You can segment the data, diamond the data, right? Whatever we know about the segmentation. But what is related to segmentation services? What is the difference between segment as a service, right? That goes back to our AEP's understanding as well. We know that AEP is a platform, and that particular platform is common for a lot of applications, right? CJ is also one of the application. We have RTCDP, we have AJO, we have mixed modeler, right? We have a lot of application. If we start putting segmentation separately in each and every tool at the top as a feature, then I need to ensure that, right, all these segmentation is like splitted or separated and put into one point solution. But what would be the complexity of it? If at all I create a centralized engine within AEP, which we call it as a segmentation here in this particular case where it is a real time, then how can I ensure that this particular segmentation is cross-aligned or able to utilize across all the application without any variance? It is tougher. Think about a CJA, right? I can go to CJA, create a segmentation called returning visitor. And then I can come to AEP, I can create a segmentation called returning visitor. So both are returning visitor. What is going to do, right? There is no one centralized unit for it, right? Because everything is separated. So means I need to have one centralized engine where I can do all the segmentation in one particular place and then utilize that particular segmentation or centralized engine across all my application as a common practice, right? So that it is much more easier and relevant rather than go and create all these things again and again in multiple solutions. So there comes segmentation being renamed, or rather than I would say that Adobe thought that, okay, rather than giving it as a feature, let me put it as a service on top of AEP, where this service can be utilized by all the application. So this particular slide itself is giving us a very clear or detailed explanation on what is the difference between the segmentation that we use it in our one-point solution versus what is segmentation that we are going to use it in real-time CP. So again, I'm putting it as real-time CP. Now we know that the feature and then the understanding of services, right? Let's get into why I didn't put it as real-time CDP or I put it as like a real-time CP, right? Let's go and to do that, we need to understand the architecture once again. Any particular, what I would say, right? A session which I'm going to take, I'm going to start always with this architecture because this is the key. Without this understanding, getting into any particular services or any particular application is not going to be feasible for us. And I believe that it is important. So coming back to this, where is segmentation services sitting in, right? You can see here, right? Within this real-time customer profile, segmentation services sitting means architecture is very clear. This segmentation services has nothing to do with RTCDP or else AJO, right? It is to do only with the real-time customer profile. In the other words, right? If at all you would have been into any of our user group, right, you would know I always segregate this particular entire AEP into two different stores, right? One I always call it as a data store, another one I always call it as a profile store. Means here in this case, this is sitting in profile store. So any particular application or profile store or real-time CP, right? Any particular application that is using segmentation services, right? Or else I would say that real-time CP can also utilize this segmentation service. That is why it is not only segmentation services in RTCDP, rather it is RTCP. Because I'm going to use the same segmentation services in AJO as well. If you quickly see here and see much more, right? We have segmentation service here. And this segmentation services sends the segments and the qualification to the pipeline. You can see here, right? I guess you can see my mouse over, right? So if that is the case, pipeline is sharing this segment or whatever the information to Journey Optimizer, and it is also sharing profiles and audience to the real-time CDP as well, right? So it is also sending all these, what I would say, right? Centralized engine and its capabilities to multiple other applications that is sitting on top of profile. And it is also sending to the down, or else I would say it's not upstream, but downstream, which is an event forwarding, which is our experience platform edge. And the same profiles and audience is also sent to target. So once I create a segmentation in RTCP, then I can use a segmentation across multiple platforms. Target, Journey Optimizer, real-time CDP, commerce, right? Because you can see that this particular architecture is very clear saying that audience can be shared there as well, right? So this is a centralized engine. Now, the next question comes. If this is the case, what about other application that is there in AEP? CJA, right? CJA, if you think about CJA is also an AEP. Can I get the segmentation service for a CJA? Little bit trickier. The reason is because you know that CJA is directly connected to the data lake, which is our data store. So if you think that you need to use the segmentation service for CJA, then what are the options we have is what we need to think through. So one of the option which I can think through is, right, so anytime any particular profile is created in profile store, the entire thing is copied over to the data lake. When you copy whatever there in the profile, then we know that even segment related details or segment related IDs also been tagged to the profiles. So ideally your data would have a segment ID, which can be then fed into data lake and would be available in data lake. Then you can use it in CJA. Means you can use segmentation service as a data in CJA, not as an activation layer. That is the understanding here. Because this is about, right, all the segment IDs will be tagged to your profile, and that profile is like an attribute for you. The segment IDs are an attribute for you. That attribute will be sent to the data lake, and CJA can use that particular attribute as a data. So still, even in CJA, you can get this, but not as a segmentation, as an activation layer or a servicing layer. Rather, at the high level, it is just about a data forwarding layer, right? So that is what it is. And then there are also other few areas, right, which we can. Means what it is ideally. This particular segmentation is a service that is only related to real-time customer profile and its application, not to any other applications of AEP. This is segmentation. But do we have any particular service that is common across both profile store as well as I would say profile store as well as data lake, right? If you ask that question, I have the answer. Because if you see the data ingestion, right? So you have the data ingestion here, you have the data prep, streaming connectors, batch connectors, right? The catalog service or as the data ingestion service, right? All these service is common to both store, profile store as well as, right? Can you see this particular arrow mark here? So we are also sending the data to data lake, and then we are also sending the data to the real-time CP, right? Using pipeline. I'm streaming the data and pipeline is again streaming the data, putting it down, right? So data ingestion is used by both real-time CP as well as data lake directly during the ingestion. And if you think about privacy governance, right, a privacy governance is not only related to real-time CP. Even if you have CJA, you can use privacy and governance, right? You can create labels, you can create policies, you can do everything, which means that this particular privacy governance is also enforced for both real-time customer profile as well as data lake, means both profile store as well as data lake. The point is, means in AEP, we have services where those services common for both profile store and the data lake. So those services, we call it as like services for AEP. But when I say segmentation, the segmentation service is not a AEP's service. Rather, I would put it as a real-time CDP profile store service. So that is why, right, the final talk, or else I just constrict all this discussion into one particular place, right? Right? Understanding the hearts. One is the profile store and then the data store. This segmentation service is only applicable to the profile store, not to the data store. Right? So this is the first understanding. This is the architecture of segmentation. Right? I guess I made it clear, but even if it is not right, even by the end of this discussion, right, let's discuss all these things. But this is the architecture. Let's move to the next slide, right? A contextual differences. So now we know the two things. We know segmentation is a service. It's like centralized engine. One thing we got it from the first slide. Second slide, it says where it is located. It is located in the profile store. And we know that any particular application that is using profile store, a real-time CP, right, we can utilize the segmentation service. The third one, okay, understandable is fine. Understanding of the what is segmentation is fine. Contextually, what is the difference? Again, right, I thought, right, all these things are like how I learned when I started it, and I want to give all these experience back to you so that people who starting it, who already into it, right, can clearly understand the differentiation between everything, right? So I started with understanding a difference between AA to AEP. In AA, I have the same segmentation widget, right, and I can go and create segmentation directly. But what this segmentation is ideally saying to me, if you see here, right, usually we know that we have like we can create segment based on hits, visits, visitors, and we know that all these are behavioral data, which means everything is time stamped, time series data. We know what is the difference between two data types, right? Time series data and then the record data. Everything is time, and at any time, if at all I want to create any segment in AA, I can constrict it or filter it based on the server calls. Today I go and put a page name equal to home, means it is not going to create a audience for me. It is going to create a filter on all the rows where page name equal to A. Simple as that, a filter, right? Filter, or I would say a group. Simple. But let's say if at all I make it to visit, then it is going to include all the actions within the visit. If I put it as a visitor, then it is going to put all the action within the visitor, whatever the behaviors they have done. Right? So it is a time series data which is mostly focused on events, not into attributes of anything. On the contrary, what is happening with the target? If you go to target, you would come to know that it is not just about event, it is about the attribute. In target, there is no events. You cannot say that within half an hour and all these things, correct? Rather, it is always have like an attribute. What is my geolocation? Or what is my network? What is my customer attribute? Or whatever it can be, it is an attribute. And if you think that in target, I want to do a lot of things or complex thing using event, usually there are two cases. What we will do, we will try to create the audience in CJA, pass it to the Adobe Target for usage, or else in Adobe Target, we have profile script. Profile script or Adobe Launch, we do all the calculation, all the magic at the implementation itself. And then we give an attribute value for it and use that attribute value in Adobe Target. Same thing goes for the sharing, right? But what is in the segmentation? Or when I say segmentation services in RTCP, what it is? It is a combination of everything, I would say. It has events, it has attributes, it has a shared audience, but everything is focused, group, or constructed towards only one thing called audiences. Nothing more than that. Segmentation might be a same word which we have utilized or which we have used for decades. But here in this case, segment is nothing but an audience. That's why if you go recently, right, the segment has been completely renamed it to audience. Adobe, when they started, they named it to segments, and they understood that, okay, the segmentation concept is not really straightforward, and they changed it to audience, right? Now, if you go, audience is the only option which you can see in RTCP. So the point is, segmentation here represent a group of people which is cumulatively collected as an audience. So if that is the case, I guess Hari is also there, where he will go and give a high level like overview on what is AJO and all the interface, right? But I want to show you, if at all you already there in AEP, worked on AEP, you are well and good. If at all you are not there, let me quickly show you how the UI will look like. I have the UI. Okay. I don't know how many people are using Partner Sandbox. It is just pushing out every 5 minutes. So let me log in. Because most of us, we know that, so we have seen a lot of events in AA. We have seen a lot of attributes in target, but we also need to know how all these things are grouped, or how everything consolidated into one particular interface, where we call it as an segmentation service, a segment builder in RTCP. So let's quickly go and see it and then come back to our presentation. So in left hand side, if you see, it's like a little bit minimal, I guess. So can you see here? Okay, audiences, I can see. Let me zoom and shift it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I think this is better. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. So I want to keep like at least 4 to 5 windows in my system. So I just make everything smaller. Okay. So let's create an audience. Okay, perfect. Right? Now, can you see here? So there are 3 tabs in the left hand side, right? How we have it in the AA, we have one particular tab, segmentation, where all the events are there. In target, we have another events where attributes are there. But if you see here, it is a combination of everything together now. I can go directly get into any particular schema, right? If at all I want to get any particular attribute for any particular spaces, I can just drag and drop. I can say that equal to something, name equal to something, age equal to something, gender equal to something, right? Any attribute that I want to keep it, I can just keep it. But this is not it is. Let's say in addition to it, if at all I want to go into the time series data, do something based on the events. How complex we need to build an event, let's have the discussion in some other sessions or some other events, right? But at least in this particular case, you can go to events and you can drag and drop any particular event directly, right? So all the event types are already discussed. You can get into this and understand where the event type is coming from, right? So it is just taking time, right? So drag and drop, within drag and drop, right, you can put any particular time, minutes, seconds, session, days, right? Everything. You can also sequence it, right? And then say there are 2 events that to happen within the 30 minutes of session, like how we call it as visits in Adobe Analytics, right? So without even we need go and create a profile script in Adobe Target, or else go and create something in AA or CJA. I can do everything here. I can click on any particular rule, add my event type, add all the behavioral attributes as well here. Now it is a combination of attribute, events, and in addition, let's say there are some audience which I have built it in some of the other Experience Cloud solutions. I want to drag and add them as well here. I can also go click on the Adobe Experience Platform, see what are the audience that has been already shared with me, go and add it, right? So combination of everything together in a single interface, which can give or power the segmentation service. Now, this particular segmentation service is more powerful. But when you create it, as I said earlier, it is ideally the audience will be grouped and that would be given as an output for you, right? So going back to my presentation here. So the point is, yes, it is a combination of everything: events, attributes, shared audience, everything, but in an audience manner, not based on the data. So what are the key terms which we need to understand from the segmentation services if at all we are starting anything? First is segment. What is segment? Act of separating profile, right? We have something, we are going to separate it. But as I said to you in the earlier slide, it is not separating any of the server calls. It is not separating the data, but it is separating the profiles. That is very important. The second one is definition. What is the rule that is doing or that is pushing that particular segment to be done? So we can have like a lot of rules, right? I can say that this and this or rejects, right? Whatever I want to do from the rules point of view or definitions, right? That is what it is. And then once everything is there, the output of the people who share all these characteristics, similar characteristic, right, or behaviors, right, they are called it as an audience. So the three key terms in terms of segmentation services is understanding segment is different, and it has a segment definition, and it results in audiences, right? So these are the three key terms which we need to understand. So now this is all about architecture till the understanding. So architecture wise, where segmentation service is there, where it is located, and what are the key things we need to understand from the segmentation service, from the interface, as well as from the terms point of view. So now we'll go into the next portion, where is all about execution. So again, when it comes to execution, it might have a lot of things. So I want to create the segmentation. I want to update the segmentation. I want to activate the segmentation. Sometimes it is not just activation, copying the segmentation to some of the data sets, right? So there are a lot of execution modes that is available in segmentation as a service, and then we utilize it across all our application. But I know that all these things are like a little bit lengthier or bulkier, but all the start, what we need to understand it, creating a segmentation in EA or in CJA or in target, segment creation is just a straightforward creation. I can just go create a segment. Even AA has another option where you can go and create a segmentation for using an API. But that particular API is nothing but, right, directly reporting API 2.0, right, where you can go and create like this. But Adobe is already recommending don't go and create it in using API, rather create using a interface itself, much more convenient and easier. But that is completely different from AEP, because AEP is API built platform. Anything that I have done and anything which I would recommend you to do is, right, start with the API approach itself. API is very good, I would say. Might be it is a little bit harder for all the people who are at the business level, but anything that is executed at the API level has like more credibility, right? I can see that a lot of things are straightforward. If I do it in UI, many cases the UI interface are like a little bit breaking for me. I often felt that. So it is an API first, so there are multiple options. Means it is not only just two options, there are multiple options to even create the segmentation, because it's a centralized system, right? So what are those options? The first one is segment builder. I shown you what is a segment builder is. Again, quickly go here. When I say segment builder, it is not just about audience, it is also about how you want to create it, right? So in this particular case, what I have done is I just clicked on the create segment option or create audience option, and I directly created an audience using a rule builder. So here in this case, let me click on create audience, and then this rule builder, right? Build the rule. I have the set of rules. I can go and create it. So the first option is this, right? So segment builder. What is the second option? Segment API. But what is the biggest difference between segment builder and segment API is people who are very good in profile query language. If, right, because when we go into UI, if at all you put a lot of open brace, close brace, right, when we want to work on, let's say, object of arrays or arrays, right, it is not going to be easier for us to do it in UI, because you need to ensure that all our understanding is great. But let's say I know profile query language, I know query language like SQL, I can do everything easily in a regex, in multiple functions, right? Profile query language is that which support a lot of functions. You have the entire documentation only focus on PQL. If that is the case, these people would be really happy, right? Many times I even felt that having rejects in this segment builder would be really useful, right? If that is the case, and if you know, if you want to create a lot of complex segmentation using a profile query language where it's much more easier for you to go and write and build the segment, then the second option which you have is a segmentation API where it is written in PQL. The third option here you have is journey composition. Might be journey composition a little related to journey. I might leave it to Praveen or else Hari. We can have a separate discussion on journey composition itself in next events. But high level, what is a journey composition? I have a journey. I want to create more journeys within that particular journey in a canvas, much more easier for me to tweak it. Then you can ask me, can we do it in the same segment builder? Few things can, few things cannot. Let's say in an audience composition, I would say it has a nice capability of splitting the audience into percentages. So I have an audience called male audience, and I want to split it 50-50. Can you create it in a rule builder? Think of it, right? But there is no way, right? How I can segregate the entire audience into 50% into another 50%? But audience composition has that, and ranking, enrichment, a lot of other things are there, right? So audience composition, think is like a journey canvas where you have an audience, and then you want to compose the audience into sub audiences, right? You can put it in that way at the high level. So that's the third way which we can create an audience. And the fourth way is import audience. What is import audience? This is one of the very cool feature when it was introduced, right? So you go into Adobe here, right? So you can compose the audience. I can also show you, right, what is composing an audience. Okay, I just want to show you the compose builder.
While it comes up, there are certain things. If there is interest, we can talk about compose audience also. And then there are certain limitations. It's a SKU that is not readily available, and there are certain limitations on how many things you can build compared to a regular audience. But yeah, that's I don't know. If there is interest, we can take it further also.
Yes. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So can you see, right? So at least this time we will put it at the high level, right? Let's understand how many ways we can create it. Then let's get into each and every particular, what I would say, option in depth in our next events, right? So think about this, right? How cool is it? I have an audience. I just want to split it. I can put a percentage and I can easily split it, right? There are two things. If I want to have like 3 parts, let's put it under 3 parts, right? I can keep on dividing it. A simple one for me. Rather, I cannot do it in a rule builder, right? I can go and publish it. So this is a simple compose audience for you. And then import audience. The next option which we have is, right, import audience. So import audience with the same interface. Let's go. It's a partner sandbox. It is going to take some time. Okay, so canceling it. So now, can you see here? There is an option for importing the audience directly into the segmentation. Means I can just drag and drop any particular attributes here without even getting into data ingestion. But how cool it is, right? You can understand, because we know that data ingestion is one of the toughest practice in AEP. Understanding the schema, getting the data into the schema, and putting into where it need to be placed and everything, it is a little bit complex. But let's say I have done all these things for some of the things, but I have some audience that has been already pre-built in sitting in some of my system, and there are 5 attributes such as I want to use against that particular audience, and I know that there is one identifier which I can map it directly here. If that is the case, you can directly use import audience, drag and drop that particular CSV, upload it, and create the segmentation instantly in the profile store. There is no need, right? Might be you need to wait for like few months to upload it, right? But once it has been done, then it is much more simple. You can directly do it. No data ingestion, nothing. The data set is automatically created for you, and you can like directly do all these things in the segmentation interface. So import audience. But one thing you need to know is there should be an identifier, and it should have a namespace so that it can properly contribute to all the identity related things in AEP. Okay? That is the third option you have in terms of audience creation. Then what is the fourth option? Shared audience. I already showed it to you in the creation. There is an option called shared audience as well. If at all you have any audience in AA or CGA, AA, I'm not sure whether we can still go and share it, but for sure in CGA, if you create it, it can be shared. And even an audience manager, if you have created it, then it can be shared. But ideally, I don't care if it is a AA or any other tool, any particular tool within the Experience Cloud platform, if there is an option to create any audience there, and it should be able to share to AEP, because we know that it's a centralized unit, right? Shared audience. And then the trickier part comes with the data distiller. Many people, right, I'm not sure everybody are aware, even we can create something in the data distiller and push it to the upstream like profile store. Because we know the data distiller is not connected to the profile store. It is connected to our data lake. So if it is connected to a data lake, how we can create an audience directly in the profile store using data distiller? It is a little bit trickier. And we, again, as I said, every creation needs its own session altogether. But using data distiller, there is an option where we can go and upstream it or push it to profile attributes as well. Right? We will see it later, but think that there is an option for it, but trickier, a little bit extensive, and it has some sort of connection or some sort of integrations to be done. But if you do it, there are options where we can go and do it. I never tried it, and even if I tried, I don't know whether it's a real time or not, but the option is there. And the locked option which we have right now in terms of audience creation is FAC, right? It is a separate licensing altogether, and I don't think so people who have RTCDP or normal licensing, right, they would have all these options for federated audience. Now, with creation itself, just a segmentation concept and everything, and within the segmentation creation itself, there are at least I can see 7 different ways of creating segmentation. Now, when do I need to do what, right? So if at all you are a business user, yes, go and create directly in the segment builder, not a problem. If at all you are a developer, you want an extensive segment creation, yes, go and create it in a PQL for other cases. But one important thing, Praveen was highlighting this exactly, right? Know about the limitation of each and every creation option or creation method. That is super important for you. Example, in this particular import audience case, if there is no way, there is no need to ingest the data without getting into data ingestion and everything, right? Then people directly come and import all the data in the import audience itself, correct? So we cannot have that to be happening often. So what is ideally happening here? There is a limitation if at all you want to import an audience. Maximum 1 GB of data is my understanding earlier. So not more than that, right? You can have only 1 GB of data that has been imported. Enrichment of data is also somewhere around sideline over there if at all you are using import audience option. Even in audience composition, right? In audience composition, I cannot use a externally generated audience directly into the compose mode. Only anything that has been already created within AEP, I can use it. And even the enrichment attributes are completely limited, right? So there are a lot of limitations against each of these options to create it. Same thing goes for updation and anything, right? Even in terms of activation, there are limitations. If at all you use data distiller, and if at all you are trying to create something from the downstream to up it to profile attributes, the activation layer cannot be for all the activation channels. Rather, it is limited only to the database related activation channels, right? So there are limitations in each and every time. So we need to understand what are the limitations and what is our use case. Based on our use case and based on the functionality of what we need to do, then we need to limit it and we need to put it in which particular way we need to create and how we want to use it, right? That is very important in terms of execution, and these are the different set of options available. These might not be very upfront in the documentation, so might be very useful to you if you think about segment creation at any point of time. Okay, I'm just crossing 2 minutes, I guess so, right? But let me try to close it in next 5 minutes, Praveen. Okay, so the next one is I know the concept, I know the methods to create a segmentation. Now what I need to do, or what are the other things which I need to understand? Unlike all the one-point solution, segmentation is very easier for us. Create a segmentation, do some analysis, or push it to target or directly target them in our audience, right? Because segmentation on all those cases is immediate, or evaluation is immediate. But this cannot happen in AEP. Why it cannot happen? Because many cases we are also doing a bulk ingestion, millions of rows, millions of records. On the other side, streaming data will also come in. On the other side, there is also edge data, which will forward the data, which will also ingest the data, request the data, and response given as well, right? So multiple ways the data is coming in, and within fraction of second, do you think that a particular system can go and understand all the profile, go to your rule, right? Put a segment on top of it, and then make it ready-made qualification for real time? No, it is impossible for any particular technology to do it, correct? So if that is the case, then we need to know the evaluation methods. Unlike all the tools, we have multiple evaluation methods in a real-time CP, right? Rather than putting it a AEP, right? Real-time CP. So first one is scheduled or batch segmentation. So what it means, this segmentation evaluation only happen once in a day. Not every time, right? Let's say you are putting some data in, immediately the segment will not go and look for that particular rule, and it will not qualify the profile. Rather, it will wait for a day, and it start only 24 hours, right? Once in 24 hours. Means it is not a real time, there would be a delay. But many cases that is more than enough, because recently I had a discussion with one of my friend where he was saying that their data is W plus one, week plus one. But think about this, which is just T plus one, right? 1 day plus one, D plus one, which is much more faster for them. This itself is real time for them. So for any of the emails, outbound campaigns, and a lot of batch pushes, right? This segmentation is more than enough for you. But since because it is like a query, or it is like will be evaluated once in a day, you can have as complex as that. Now the next question comes, at what time? Every day, night, 12 o'clock is the time. But sometimes it is Adobe is recently introduced flexible evaluation as well. Earlier it was not the case, because before a year, right, Adobe released a flexible evaluation as well, where you can request Adobe, if at all there is some cases you want to do some of the batch evaluation, let's say in some other time rather than the regular time, you can ask the Adobe and they can give it. But there are limitation to it, that's as well, right? So that is the first one, which is a batch segmentation. Next one is streaming. Name itself automatically saying that it is streamed. When it is streamed, it is near real time. Seconds to minutes, right? Anything that is ingested go into the pipeline, and pipeline go into the real time CP, since because it is enabled for profile. Just go try to create a profile and see which particular profile fragment is there. Try to create a profile, send the audience to out, right? Some time is required, but it is real time journeys and fairly complex tools. You cannot just go and like say that for the past 1 month I need everything together. No, it is not going to be the case, because 1 month data is going to be huge. So if at all I need to do some evaluation for the huge data of 1 month, all the profile fragment, combine it to a profile and get the audience, it is going to be tougher again. So it has some sort of like rules, regulations, and everything, right? Let's say 1 day or 7 days. Yeah, it is possible. I can just go see the timestamp, see, get the data, and quickly do it, right? So anything that has to be streaming evaluated, your rules has to be proper. If you put a complex rule, automatically it will change it to batch, and it will say that it is impossible to do a streaming segmentation on that particular topic. Edge segmentation. As we know that everybody talk about edge, right? Real time in milliseconds to seconds is what I would call it as, because edges or all the profiles or all the audiences directly sitting at the edge, already been handshaked and passed it to the edge. So the moment you get in, it will know that the audience is there, just go and target it. And we have seen this edge segmentation earlier in one of AEP, I guess, so right, or my first or second, right? We went into what is the edge, what are the location, in details, what is an edge, right? So same website or mobile application, we will be using it, and fairly very simple rules are allowed, right? One attribute or something like that, very granular or very tactical is what I would say, right? Very simple segmentation method. And lastly, I don't want to explain everything. With all these things, there are also a lot of guardrails. So how many audiences that you need to do? What are the throughputs across all these things? How you can publish it? Maximum size audience, right? Flexible, how many flexible audience which you can run, right? Everything together. In addition, what we know, AEP or AEP has two licensing, B2B as well as B2C. So this is B2B, but in addition, you can also think about the B2B as well, account related, right, opportunity related, and everything. So with that, I'm just closing my presentation. Means, what are the few things which we have understood or which we had a discussion till now is understanding what is segmentation as a service, where it is sitting in, what is its execution methods of how it has been created, and then how we can trade off which one we need to use, right? All these things at the high level, and then understanding the guardrails and how better we can utilize this particular understanding to get into the next level. So yes, it is not, it is just going to be the start. As I said, this is a start of segmentation, and we are planning, at least I am planning, and Praveen is also with me, right? So we are going to have this as a series, because segmentation I cannot complete it in one particular session. So let's take this as a first series, and then second series we will take one or two options and go in depth and see how it has been executed, right? Likewise, we will try to go whenever there is a which one, right? So that's how we will go with, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Praveen. Thank you so much, everyone. I guess you understood it at the high level, is my understanding. But if you have any questions after Chira Hari's presentation, we will definitely discuss. Thank you.
Thanks, Arun. And then there were some on the chat. Pandirajan had put in a couple of comments too, which is
I will take a look. I will
no,
take
no.
a look.
I think he provided some good addition to what we were discussing. Thank you for doing that. I think I would definitely encourage people to kind of share their observations, and also, I mean, also ask questions. But I think this is also welcome where you put your insights. I love the participation. All right. With that, I think we'll go to the thank you, and team, please post your questions too, right? So like think right now as the second session will be going on, we'll also try to take some of these questions, but I think in the interest of time, let's start the second session and give Hari the time. So let me start let me start sharing my screen again, and then we can go with the second presentation for today. Give me a minute. All right. Hope you all can see my screen. All right. I take that as a yes. And then I think what we are following the segmentation services discussion. Now we're kind of good into a little bit into the AJO side, where we want to take a look at the more recent AJO's experience decisioning, which the previous version was offer decisioning. Now the experience decisioning that has come in, and I would pass it on to Hari, who is an architect with Dentsu and Merkle, to kind of walk us through some of those things. Hari, since I have the controls, just let me know when I have to change the slides. Okay, Hari, go ahead, introduce, and then we can keep going.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for setting up the ground, Praveen. So, hi team. Hello everyone. I am Harinath. I am based out of Mumbai. So overall, 10 plus years of experience, and since around 5 years, I've been part of Merkle DGS. So I work primarily on AEP and AJO, and I'm also certified expert for AEP and AJO. So today's session would be more over the new feature that has been released by Adobe for experience decisioning. So earlier it was the decisioning management, or you can say the offer decisioning, so which was in place. So recently Adobe came up with a new feature, which is experience decisioning. So it basically represents the next generation framework where building offer decisioning on a personalization level, and it also includes AI modules into it. And there are some the offers in experience decisioning is a centralized catalogs. So when I say on the slide itself, so it says that it leverages experience platform and unified customer profiles to send the best offer, or you can send the best dynamic content based on the different criteria that uh, user profile has. So key capabilities, it's real time, and it has ranking strategies and AI based or formula based options with it. Okay, and unlike the previous offer library, so this catalog has various decision items and collections which can be uh, leveraged to send the best offer to the user. With that, it has a direct integration with AJO. So when a journey is created, there is a new node called as content decision node that has been introduced by Adobe. So we can use that node to bring in the best offer once the experience decision runs. And it is applicable for cross channel, so it can be applicable for emails, for native push channels and web apps also. And additionally, it has leverage to the custom actions as well. So whatever the contextual data or the best whatever the parameters comes in after the offer decision engine runs, all those can be leveraged and used in a custom action for a third party integration as well. Okay. Yeah. So you can go next, Praveen.
Yeah, yeah, and for all the people that if this topic is kind of completely new, right? So what is experience decisioning at a very very core level is a way for you to select an offer or give an offer to an individual, right? So that is what this is the capability of. It is basically a decisioning engine within AJO that can help you determine what offers, what's the best offer that an individual can give in a real time, right? So that is what this is and the whole thing about. So it is basically for, and like he's mentioned, any channel it can do that, and now they have a very good integration with journey and everything. Like the previously they did not had so much, the integration wasn't there. They were trying to kind of pitch it as a, like when Adobe's vision is to kind of compete with the likes of Pega. So this is where this is coming with, like it's an engine that helps you to give offers or the next best offer, right? So that is what it is.
So yeah, to the next slide. So few experience decisioning artifacts. Okay. So the first thing is the permission. So anyone who wants to use the experience decision artifacts and its journey artifacts need to have the right permission. So the primary permission here is the decision manager. So the user should be part of the decision manager role. Then then only he will be able to use those new features available for experience decisioning. Second is the custom attribute. So when I say the custom attribute, so it is the out of the box schema that has been introduced by Adobe for uh, structuring the data of offers. So if you see, the name is personalized offer item, so it gives you the all those attributes that are necessary once the decision engine runs. Additionally, this schema is flexible enough that a user can add his own field group to the schema, such that those custom field group is now exposed to the user to build some rules or make some calculation based on the metadata of that particular field group. Okay. Coming next is the decision rules. So decision rule in AJO is like a constraint, or you can say eligibility constraint for decisioning and targeting the precise audience. So it can intake personal contextual attributes or profile attributes, or it can include or exclude audiences from a particular AEP sandbox as well. So the decision items are basic, the decision rules are basically kind of filtration of profile based on certain attributes. The canvas looks similar to that of segmentation, and it's real time. Okay. So next is the decision item. So decision item is more like an offer. So whatever this offer you user has to create, he can create using the decision items. Okay, so it intakes few metadatas which has been introduced or which has been added to the out of the box schemas, and also it intakes rules which has been created to filter out the profiles out. Also it has a combination of capping, means if you have to provide a particular capping to an offer, let's say an offer should be released only 1000 times per day, so that capping can also be provided to an offer. Okay. And you can create multiple offers in the canvas, and it for now there are no APIs to create them. It can be used created only using the AJO canvas. So next is to organize items within collection. So collection is basically a wrapper of the decision items or decision offers, you can say. So if you want to wrap a particular offer, let's say 10 offers of similar kind can be wrapped into one collection and then used further. So it is basically, you can wrap them based on basis of any tag name or any particular user attribute that you have defined for that particular offer. For example, if you see here, there is a park offer collection. Okay, that includes a tag name called as EXD park offer. So any offer which has a tag of EXD park offers will be part of that particular collection. Okay, move forward. Next is the ranking method. So when a user, so the ranking method is basically it will rank all those offer based on the propensity score or any profile attribute or any calculation that is being happening. Okay, so let's say there are a user is eligible for 10 different offers. Okay, but you want to give him the best offer, so ranking comes into picture. On the same hands, there is something called as priority as well. So when you define an offer, it allows you to define the priority of the offer as well. So you can use either of them. Either you can give the best offer based on basis of a ranking, or you can give the best offer to a user on basis of the priority score of that particular offer. Okay, or else so in ranking, again, there is a provision to write your pql to calculate or compute the score of a particular offer. And if the score, uh, if any of the attribute is turning out to be null or zero, so the score would be zero. In that case, what you can do is you can give a fallback of the priority, means the priority takes it, the priority score takes the priority of the offer. So that is also something which you can do. Next is the selection strategy. So selection strategy is again a combination of the collections that you create. Collection in the sense all those decision offers or of decision items that you create, and the rules, the decision rules, the filtration of the profile based on certain attributes or certain audience criterias, and the ranking methods, means all those qualified offers and the ranking that has been impersonated upon them. You can the selection strategy computes all of them and then gives you the best offer out of it. And the last one is the content decision node. So this is a new node which comes under the orchestration umbrella of AJO. So uh, this node can be simply dragged and dropped in the canvas, and then a selection strategy can be selected. And the when the journey triggers, the selection and the content decision node runs, it hits the offer decision engine, and based on the all those strategies, it will give you one best offer. Okay, also there is a provision that you can have up to 50 offers. Up to 50 offers can be provided. That is a guardrail. Okay, a minimum of one and a maximum of 50 offers can be given per time for a profile. Okay, can we move next, Praveen? Yeah. So integration with AJO. So this of experience decisioning feature has a direct integration with AJO. So as I said, in AJO, the AJO canvas, there is something called as decision policies and decision rules. So you can directly bring in through a drag and drop and use it in the AJO canvas. And again, once the contention is dragged in, the output of the decision engine, you can write it to a custom action, or you can implement it in on a email or a push channel or a in-app channel. Apart from that, you can also use it for web-based personalization, and or maybe you can give it to a third party, let's say Salesforce, and integrate a push there as well. So it's not like it only will support the native channels, it can also support the third party channels as well. And content personalization, again, you can bring in all those dynamic content, the profile attributes or the metadata from the profile, or the offer decisioning attributes from the out of the box schemas, and put it into the email content for personalization. Okay, so this is a small use case that I will take you through. So the use case is personalized ride offer for a theme park. So the objective here is to uh, increase the guest engagement. So when I say this, so this use case is basically, let's suppose there is a theme park where there are multiple rides available. Okay, and I as a person purchases a ride. So once I purchase a ride, I will get a ticket. Okay, and that ticket can needs to be scanned in the theme park. Okay, so with that scan, what will happen is, based on my scan or based on my entry into the theme park, I will be suggested few more offers or few more themes or few more rides or any other beverage coupon. Okay, so so this is something which can be handled using experience decisioning. Okay, so the current approach, let's say there are generic emails or generic SMS going out to all the guests related to the offers that are available in the theme park. Okay, but with this experience decisioning, what we can do is we can fetch the geolocation as well, and we can give them the best offer which is adjacent to the current ride or uh, current whatever ticket he has purchased. We can give him the adjacent one, or during, let's say, during the lunch time, based on the time frame condition, we can provide him the best beverage or some coupons for food and beverages as well. Okay, so this use case will implement experience decisioning and bring in the best offer, and send an email out to the user, or it can also be a push notification to the user to for the next best offer to be purchased. So this way we, that there are high chances of revenue being increased and people engagement also. Okay, so I'll quickly take Praveen, I'll take the screen, okay, and
Yeah.
I'll share the canvas, AJO canvas, okay, on how the decision rules and offers are created.
And while he does that, right? So I think that's like the last statement that he made on this particular example itself, right? So this is what exactly the experience decisioning kind of shines. In a traditional approach, you wouldn't be able to do that. Like your engagement would be, even if it is real time, it would have been like a standard thing where you're basically saying, sending a blast email to everybody. Or even if it was real time, you would have to build so many different journeys to kind of anticipate each of the different events that you need to take care of, and then you would kind of react. So that is how you would have mapped it. But with decisioning, that entire complexity of a user experience kind of shifts to that experience decisioning as a unit, and it can be engaged into a journey. And that's what Hari will kind of take you through, where a user might be entering through an event, and then you're using experience decisioning to figure out where in the journey they are, and then make a decision on what offer best suits that person based on the things that they've already done. This kind of ties back to all the things that Arun was showing earlier on how the segmentations are done. Like this is all ties back, right? So you have all those events that are then you will, or all those segments and the streaming segments that you build, those can all build used in the audience in the journey building. And then eventually, like once the audience is kind of selected, like you have to now make a decision on what do I now tell this person. And that's where experience decisioning comes in. That gives you that ability to decide what is that offer that you need to send. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Hari. You can start sharing the screen and go from there.
Yep. Praveen, can you stop? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll share now. Okay. Yeah, I am sharing my screen. Let me know if it is visible.
Yeah, I can see it. Right.
All right. Yeah, so I'm on the AJO canvas. Okay, so if you see on the left hand side, so there is decision management which has offers and components. So this was the previous offer management thing. Okay, with the new feature, so if you see there is one another thing, so it is called as decisioning. So it has catalogs and strategy setup included into it. Okay, so quickly going to the first step which I told. So it is about the out of the box schema. So on my screen is a personalized offer items experience decision schema. So it has a decisioning item field group of its own. What we can do is it allows us to add our own field group to it. So with this, what we can do is add a field group, and these fields are now available for me to use in my decisioning engine to give the best offer. Okay, once this is added, what we do is we create the decision rules. So again, decision rules, so there are 5 rules that I have created, each representing each ride. So let's say carousel is a ride, mystic forest quest is a ride. Similarly, so there are 5 rides, and 5 different rules that has been created for each ride. I'll show you one of them. So this rule is Enchanted Kingdom Explorer, the name. Okay, and what it does is it is looking for people. So what it do is it is excluding people who have already taken this ride. Okay, one who has already taken this ride, they will not give you this offer again. And if he has an annual pass or a complimentary pass, he is not eligible for this offer. So this is kind of a rule, this is a filtration that is being happening for a offer to be issued. So if he's part of any of this, if he has already taken this ride, the offer will not be provided. Or if he has an annual pass for that particular theme park, no offers will be, this offer will not be provided to him. So this is kind of a example rules that are decision rule that is created. With this, we go to creation of the offer. So these are the offers that are created. It comes under catalog and create item. Okay, five offers are created. One of them is the Enchanted Kingdom Explorer, which I have showed you earlier. So again, what it will do is it will allow us to you know whatever field group that we have added, we need to give them a specific business values and the eligibility rule. So if this is the rule that we add to this offer, and we can also apply capping. So here the capping is 10,000, which means this offer can be issued only 1,000 times per day. Okay, and it resets every midnight UTC. So this is how a offer looks like. It would have few metadata values and a eligibility rule, which can be our decision rule that has been created, and a capping.
The like I think one note is that I think if you're wondering what is that schema was primarily that you were showing. It kind of ties back to here. The
Yes.
schema that you edited was primarily to say that, hey, in my personal system, in for my particular use case, uh, like Adobe didn't make it generic, right? So it didn't tell you that, hey, here's the different metadata that you need to have. This is how you need to see an offer. They said that I've given you a schema. Now you go and extend that schema as you want to, you see fit, and add your metadata so that you can decide. You will have your own personal, like every business is different, and every business will have a different way of calling what an offer is and what metadata it needs to track, and how you do the rules and everything. So that is why that schema was given for you to extend. And then once you extended the schema, now that is available for you in the rules and the offer to kind of put all that metadata in so that you can kind of take it further.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Praveen. Yeah. Moving ahead. Yeah. So collection. So collection, as I said, it is a wrapper of all those offers that have been created. So in our case, what I have done is I have create whatever offer that I created. I gave it a tag called as EXT Park offers. Okay, and now I am defining this collection as whatever offer items have EXT Park offer. Club them into one. Okay, so I have now 5 items under this collection. So if you preview it, yeah. So these are those 5 offers which can be used as a collection. Moving further is the ranking formula. So ranking formula, as I mentioned, it can either be PQL written or it can be AI driven. So in our case, I have written a PQL, okay, which is basically calculating the marketing weight, or means it is taking attributes from different things. So it can be from a out of the box schema, or it can be from a decision item, or it can be a propensity score. So I'm computing everything and giving a score to that particular offer. And as a fallback, what I'm doing is if the score is 0, I am using the item priority of that particular offer. Okay, so this ranking formula basically calculates the score based on different attributes for the business level, and computes and gives the offer score, and that score will decide the best offer. Moving forward is the selection strategy. So selection strategy is again a combination of the offer collection that was previously created and the eligibility. Here the eligibility can be all users, or it can be some other criteria, or we can create a separate decision rule and use that decision rule in the eligibility, or it can be all visitors. And the third thing would be the ranking formula. So on what basis do you want to give the best offer? Do you want to populate the best offer? So in our case, we'll use the formula that we created recently. So once this everything is in place, we can go to the journey canvas and create a journey. Okay, in so here what I have done is I have created small journey, so which is looking for an event. So this event is basically a unitary event. The when a user scans his ticket, the data flows into AP, and there is an event listener which is listening to that event. Okay, once that data comes in, this journey triggers. So in my case, what happens is I created an event with some conditions. Let's say ticket.scan is the event. Once this comes in, it will check for a business criteria, whether it has an annual pass or not. Later, it will check whether it has consents or not. And the third, and this is the content decision. This is the new feature or new thing that has been introduced, where it directly takes the decisioning. Okay, so when I drag and drop it from the orchestration, it allows me to select the decision policy. I'll open it for you, guys. So the decision policy, it will take the strategy that has been created recently. Yeah. The strategy what has been created, it will take that, and if the user is not qualifying for any of the offer, it allows you to give a fallback offer as well. Okay. With this, what happens? So once this node runs, it will give you one best offers. See, you see the number of items I have declared is one, so it will give you one best offer, and it will be attached to any of your. So this is a custom action, which means it can be passed to any third party integration, or it can be attached to an email as well. Okay. With this, so I can show you one email if my screen is still visible. You see this, I mean, is my screen, is the
No,
email?
no, I think you only shared the window, so we can't see your email.
Okay, let me. Yeah, I'm resharing it.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah. So once the decision engine runs, it will give you one best offer, and that offer can be appended into the email body like this. And also it can be used in your push or in app, or any other custom action, but not in direct mails as of now.
Yeah, and this is again the idea, the topic that I was telling earlier. The reason that you have the extendability of the schema is given is for this particular reason. Like basically, offer cannot be as simple as 50% off and things like that. You might have other needs where the display or the personalization or the end channel goals are needed. So you can extend the schema, put all the metadata that you want, and when it comes to personalization, sending that offer to the third party or any channel, that's where you can use it. It could be a QR code, it could be some kind of a code or whatever, a description of the offer. All that metadata can be there extended in the table, so that can be used in a different ways. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Hari, for kind of walking us through experience decisioning. So again, this is a quietly fairly complex topic. I would say it is definitely, like you saw from a component standpoint. There are quite a few areas that you need to kind of understand, go into understand a little bit more. But our goal here was to make sure that you understand it as a whole as a product, and how it is supposed to be used, and what are all the components that are there. Right. So hopefully that is what we were trying to kind of achieve from this session. And thank you for walking us through, Hari.